This little video series is going to cover setting up the beginnings of a automated cyber range system using breaking points. So the basic idea is in a cyber range, you've got a blue team and a red team, and the blue team is defending the network and the red team is attacking the network. And so the blue team has what are called landing points, which are the laptops that they use to run tools, and the tools or access the tools, and the tools are what they're using to monitor the network. Things like Security Onion, things like Snorebeast, even Wireshark can be used. And so the idea is that you have to create a cyber range, a good cyber range. You've got to you have to create a haystack. That's what we call it. So you're creating, using AppSim, case of breaking point, you use AppSim to create a large amount of what we'll call legitimate traffic that is simulating a real network, a real operating network. This traffic could be internal app traffic within the network. It could be client server traffic, internal and external, and of course it could be traffic coming from the internet from all parts of the world. And your cyber range could have a DMZ area, and it could have with web servers and that sort of thing, as well as the more internal area where different applications are running or being simulated by a breaking point. And in the midst of all that, little bits and pieces of traffic come in that are actually someone snooping around and attacking the network. The red team is normally the people doing that. But what I'm going to show are sort of the beginnings of automating that concept with some simple, here's how you start kind of demonstrations. And we're going to start with an NMAP simulation where the attacker is going to hit our subnet and look around to find out where the devices are, and then a port scan where the attacker focuses on one of those devices and runs a port scan to see what ports are listening. And then we'll actually do exfiltration, where we're simulating a packet every once in a while leaving a device that's in this cyber range network, and that traffic is going back out into the internet and off to some unknown server out in the middle of anywhere. And so of course some of that setup is going to be in our network neighborhood, and the rest will be in these setups that we create here. And this is how I'll start, and then maybe add some more videos. This first video is going to cover NMAP, and then 2 more videos to cover these other 2 simulations. And so let's get started with NMAP. And so we'll look at the network neighborhood, but this is the attacker. This is going to be an NMAP scan, so the attacker is from outside the network somewhere. And then SimSubnet is actually the IP addresses of the subnet that this network is operating within. And so you'll see a scan come through that is essentially pinging all the different IP addresses and looking for a response. Now we don't really care what the response is. We've created the cyber range, so we already know where the devices are, what IP addresses they have. But this is for the benefit of the blue team. This is the blue team may or may not see these packets coming in and poking around, and that's really the test. The test is, does the blue team see these packets or not? Do they know that an NMAP scan is being performed? And so Whether the Nmap scan was really successful or not, it'll be followed up with that port scan against one of the real devices or real VMs that is on the CyberRange network. For this scan, take a look at a few things. Let's start with the load profile. I've set this up as send only, so it's going to go for about a minute, and these are set for 0. So this Nmap scan is just going to be sending the beginnings of a packet interaction and looking for a response from it. The traffic I've set up as being very low throughput, and so I've set all of this at 1 megabit, 1 superflow per second, 1 superflow at a time. And you can, of course, you can go with more than that, but as we move forward, what else is set here? That may be it. Oh yeah, and also the retry count, I've set that to 0. And so I don't want three. I don't want to check each IP address 3 times. I just want to check it once. And since we're simulating an Nmap scan, so we're not. It doesn't really matter if that device responds or not. Let's see. Delayed start. Oh, let's set this at 0. But in a real CyberRange, what you would do is create this haystack of AppSim traffic. They call it haystack as in a needle in a haystack. The attack is the needle. So you create the haystack and it's running for the entire length of the exercise. But then, say 1 minute into the exercise, the Nmap scan might start. And then say 2 or 3 minutes into the exercise, the port scan might start. And then 5 minutes into the exercise, the exfiltration starts. Each of those is covered in the 3 videos that I've loaded up here. But for the purposes of showing this run, I'm going to have it start with just 1 second delay. One more thing to check before we run it. And we're almost ready to run it. And let's look at quick look at this is my CyberRange network so far anyway. So here's attacker, and I use some of these in the other videos, but since this is just VE, breaking point VE running on my laptop, I don't have any external hosts. But in the real CyberRange, you would have external hosts. This is being sent against an entire subnet. So here I'm simulating the entire subnet with the other side, with the second port. So port 1 is attacker, is sending the Nmap scan. Port 2 is the subnet that I'm sending that Nmap scan to. In a real CyberRange network, some of these would be external hosts. Since this is just my laptop, we're just dealing with port 1 and port 2 of breaking point, but some of these addresses and address ranges would be external hosts. Like the subnet that you're scanning would be a real subnet of where a few devices are physical or VM devices. That being said, let's run this test and we'll take a look at the results. And I'll put it on pause for a minute. So the test is run. We're back. And I'm exporting it as we speak. And let's take a look at the PCAP file. And I'm going to put in the IP address of that source. Let's see, attacker I think that's it right there. Let's see if this works. And click, and there it is. So here's my source IP address, and we're doing an NMAP scan of a subnet, and there it is. And you notice that these IP addresses are sequential. You also notice that I didn't run it long enough to do all 250, but I can, speed things up in real life. I'd speed things up a little bit. Or maybe I just look for half a subnet, make it a little more challenging for the blue team. But let's go back then and look at one more thing. This is version of the software. This is version 8.10. That's the latest version there is. Now, I can't do this with, I'd mentioned creating external hosts. Well, I can't do this one little thing I'm going to show with external hosts, at least not yet. With 8.10, what I can do, and we're looking, this is the subnet. Starts at 2.2, 250, and you saw we had sequential addressing happening, which is this particular customer I was working with requested that. They said they think that's the way NMAP does it. Well, we've added this feature, this IP address algorithm, and you can set it for sequential. There's random is the other choice, and hopefully it's some of our random choices are not very random, but sequential works. Sequential gives us a nice .2, .3, .4, .5, and so on and so on. And so this is a new feature, and added at 8.10, and that's how you use it. And I think we basically added this feature more for customers who kind of wanted confirmation. I want to see that all the addresses are being hit and that sort of thing. But it's handy. I mean, that's kind of the same reason that we would do it at least in a demo for a cyber range. So that is an NMAP scan. Next up is doing the port scan, like I said, kind of in sequence the way an attacker might do it, and then exfiltration in the third video.